Hello, Samurai. Ruri-san here, coming at you with another video. And today, we'll be reviewing Ghost of Tsushima. This title was sent to me by PlayStation Portugal, so I could give it a look and tell you my opinions on it.
Cowards without honor deserve no mercy. No mercy! Open fire! For Tsushima!
Ghost of Tsushima is an open-world game where you play the role of a samurai in the island of Tsushima during a Mongolian invasion. Faced with overwhelming odds, you start going down a path that goes against your samurai ways, vanquishing your foes by all means necessary, be they honorable or not. Throughout your journey, you'll get to see a beautiful rendition of the island of Tsushima, explore its many mysteries, meet colorful characters, and confront the foreign invaders in a constant struggle between doing what is right and what is actually needed to save your home. Now, this is usually where I would tell you the average length of the game, but in the current build, that information isn't really available anywhere, and I completely lost track of time while I was playing the game. The hours just kind of flew by me. My best estimate is that if you beeline the main story campaign, you're probably looking at about 40 hours, maybe less. But if you at least complete relevant side quests, and you should because they're really good, you're probably looking at double that time. And this is not including all the different side activities available in the map. There are a lot of things to experience in Tsushima, and I would really advise players to take their time and do the character side quests. They are very well done and provide a lot of depth to these characters who will be your companions in the main quest. They also provide you with more opportunities to explore different sections of the island, which has beautiful vistas and is incredibly immersive.
Samurai!
Ghost of Tsushima is a visually striking game. There's a reason why the game's HUD is minimal, and there's an in-game option which reduces it even more. It's because this rendition of the island of Tsushima is absolutely stunning. The vibrant colors, the waterfalls, the temples, the forest, almost any location in the island can lead to amazing screenshots. It's incredibly immersive and very easy to lose track of time while simply riding around and taking in the scenery. The dynamic weather changes also reveal how different the world can look between a sunny afternoon or an evening thunderstorm. The attention to detail was impressive. The way the tall grass sways in the wind, the leaves falling from the trees. I'm actually surprised my PS4 Pro didn't explode with all these particles. The characters also look very good, particularly during cutscenes, and the animations are solid all around. The katana hits feel very satisfying, particularly when your blade gets stuck during the killing blow on an enemy, and your character actually has animations to free his blade before he returns to combat. If I wanted to pick anything in regards to visuals, it would have to be that in certain cutscenes, I wish the facial animation was a little bit better. But there's quite simply too many voiced cutscenes in the game, each with different camera angles and whatnot, and it would be unreasonable. After all, the entirety of the game is voice acted. All the main cutscenes are fine. This is mostly aimed at some of the side quests, and again, a nitpick.
You with me?
Sound is also solid, from the clashing of katana to the horse hooves clopping on the ground, the explosions, and even trees shaking in the wind or creaking as you take a stroll through a forest. It all sounds just right. The voice acting is solid. I played the English version since the game was developed by a Western studio, but you do have the option for Japanese audio should you desire. The soundtrack was impeccable, knowing when to stay in the background and when to jump to the forefront at critical moments, reinforcing the sentiment this story was presenting at the time. Also, I like the fact you can play your flute and change the weather. It's a nice touch. I played my flute all the damn time.
The Mongol leader. I'm ready, Uncle. We end this together.
Ghost of Tsushima is the story of a samurai who valiantly charges into battle against overwhelming odds and gets crushed by an enemy who not only greatly outnumbers him, but is also not burdened with the weight of honor. Upon this defeat, he is forced to witness as the beautiful island of Tsushima he calls home is brutally ravaged by the Mongol invaders. As a side note, I actually think a big reason why they present such a romantic rendition of Tsushima, incredibly beautiful and pristine, is precisely to get the players to care for the island itself, and to want to protect it from the foreign invaders who have no respect for the land and its customs. But going back to the story, as our protagonist is faced with these events, he starts going down a dark path. If our enemies have no honor, they deserve none in return. And the main plot reveals itself to ultimately be the struggle between remaining an honorable samurai, facing your enemies head-on, or becoming an agent of darkness, murdering your enemies when they are at their most vulnerable, striking from the shadows like a ghost. As you can imagine, there's a lot more to it than that, but I'd rather leave the rest for you to discover as you play the game. And I'm not being restricted by any embargoes in regards to this discussion. I could tell you a lot more about the story, but I'm choosing not to, because I believe it will diminish your enjoyment of the final product. Personally, I greatly enjoyed the story of the game. In some sections, I found myself getting a little teary-eyed, while in others I actually voiced my own battle cry as I charged to battle against the Mongols, because the narrative resonated that well with me. That's not to say it will be the same for everyone, since, everyone has their own narrative tastes. I would mention again, the side quests are very good at providing additional depth to the characters you interact with during the main campaign, and even the island itself. So I would advise against beelining the main story, since you will miss out on a lot of good content. Ghost of Tsushima's gameplay isn't exactly groundbreaking. It follows a lot of the same rules as standard open world games. You can explore the world, engage in side activities, which further the progression of your character by granting you gear, stats, or skills. These activities can range from something as simple as following a fox to a shrine or writing a haiku to taking out Mongol camps, or even dynamic events that can take place as you roam the countryside. Arguably, the dynamic events don't have that much variety, but it's still an excuse to yai-slash a couple of Mongols as you travel through Tsushima. You'll advance the story campaign by completing scripted missions with multiple objectives, combat, and cutscenes. As with all open world games, there's a wide variety of collectibles you can find throughout the world, and there's even a special armor set unlocked very early on that helps you find these collectibles more easily, for the completionist types out there. All in all, there's a nice variety of activities you can engage in all around Tsushima that should keep you busy for a good long while. So let's take a look at the combat. Now, things start off simple enough. You have a fast attack, a heavy attack that can be charged, the dodge, and the block, which is also a parry if you block right as you're about to get hit. But as your character kills Mongol leaders, you'll start unlocking stances, which become a key element in combat since each stance is designed to work better on certain enemies. Your basic stance is good against sword enemies, the second stance you unlock is good against shield enemies, the third one is good against spear enemies, and the fourth is good against brutes. The stances completely change your attack animations, and being able to swap them on the fly in the heat of battle will become your bread and butter as you advance through the game, since they start throwing a greater variety of enemies at you. But this is the way of the samurai: honorable combat, the clashing of steel and a duel of skill until that steel meets flesh. There are, however, other ways to engage in combat. As you progress, you'll also start unlocking ghost tools, such as deadly kunais, sticky bombs, black powder bombs, smoke bombs, and more. These can give you an upper hand when you're overwhelmed. They may not be honorable, but then again, neither are the Mongols. You'll be able to engage in combat from stealth, like a ghost, striking from the shadows before your enemies even realize you're there. But interestingly enough, the ghost is not just about stealth kills and remaining in the shadows. It is also about the use of theatrics to strike fear into the heart of your enemies. When you embody the ghost, think of it as a Batman that has no problems with killing his enemies. But that's all I'll say about the ghost for now, as some of its mechanics are better enjoyed as you unlock them throughout the game. There's also a bow, which gives you a long-range attack option, as well as different types of arrows that you will be able to shoot. For those of you that watched some of my Ghost of Tsushima coverage, you'll be aware that one of my main concerns was that the gameplay showed the enemies being too conservative about swarming the player, almost attacking one at a time as the Assassin's Creed games of old. I can confirm that was not the case in the final game, at least in the hard difficulty, which is what I played. They will swarm you with zero mercy. If you're not careful about your engagements, you will be overwhelmed. In fact, several times I was forced to run away from combat due to the sheer number of enemies that I engaged. Again, ghost tools can make one hell of a difference here, should you choose to use them. One of the features you'll no doubt have seen in the official gameplay videos is the standoff mechanic. This is basically your character issuing a challenge to the enemies, and it's not only a very powerful mechanic, but apparently something that was also traditional in Japanese warfare, which is pretty cool. But in essence, this is your choice of how to start an engagement. You can strike from the shadows in stealth and take out as many Mongols as possible, or you can challenge them to open combat, which gives you a chance to take a few of them out and get some resolve from the get-go. Resolve, which is the golden circles you see on the lower left-hand side, is a resource you use to perform special attacks and heal yourself. And in my opinion, it's a little broken, as in, it's too powerful. While you'll still die if you make too many mistakes during combat, I've had too many situations where I made copious amount of mistakes in a certain engagement and just powered through by mashing the heal button on the hardest difficulty. Boss fights usually revolve around duels, and in those there are no ghost tools to save you. There's only you, the boss, and cold steel. Duels are considerably more challenging, and you'll need to study the pattern of each boss to learn when it's safe to attack, which attacks you can parry, and which attacks you'll have to dodge. Duels also feature a different camera angle that I felt sometimes actually contributed to the difficulty of the encounter. I feel like these could have potentially been done a little bit better from a gameplay perspective, because from a presentation perspective, they are top-notch. Two opponents sizing each other up before a clash of steel, really cool samurai stuff. All in all, I think my biggest complaint in terms of combat would have to be that sometimes I felt like stance swapping wasn't responsive enough. R2 is used for both stance swapping and ghost tool selection, and as such, it slows down time slightly when you pull it up. But sometimes I just wanted to quickly swap stances, and I felt like there was some kind of a delay on the input, and it simply would not swap to the stance I selected, causing me to attack enemies in the wrong stance, which can be really deadly in late game. This was not something that happened all the time, but it happened enough times for me to take notice. It is, however, easily solvable in a patch, I would imagine, so it's not really a big deal. In terms of character progression, there's a skill tree with a lot of stuff to unlock. As with most open world games, by the time you reach the end of the game, depending on how much side content you did, you should have enough points to unlock everything. However, there are still ways in which you can influence your playstyle outside of the skill tree. In fact, I would say the biggest deciding factor as to how you play is actually your armor. Some of the armor favors stealth, other armors favor ranged combat. Some boost your ghost tools while others focus on melee combat. There's a decent amount of options to pick from. The armor is all in one, so chest piece, gloves, leggings, all of that stuff is one slot. However, you can change your headpiece and mask independently, and they are strictly cosmetic. As you upgrade your armor, it will change appearance, but you can choose to use the old appearance of the armor if you prefer it while retaining the upgraded bonus. Besides your armor, there are also several charms to equip, which allows you to customize your playstyle further. You can focus on stealth, ghost tools, different melee abilities, or even ranged performance. There's a couple of color variations you can unlock for each armor, and a ton of headbands, helmets, hats, and masks to unlock. All the cosmetic stuff is earned through playing the game. There's no microtransaction nonsense. Ubisoft could stand to learn a thing or two about that, the greedy f***s.
I've never seen a samurai fight like that. It was nothing.
You are more than a samurai. He is a vengeful spirit, back from the grave to slaughter the Mongols.
Ghost of Tsushima hit all the right notes for me, and if you enjoy open world games and samurai, this is a very easy recommendation. As with most open world games, some activities can become somewhat repetitive, but with such a beautiful, immersive world to explore, it didn't really bother me very much. And since I greatly enjoyed the combat, any excuse to slash up Mongols and bandits was always welcome. Story is one of those aspects in games that doesn't necessarily resonate with everyone, but I really enjoyed this one. I felt the character development was really well done. Exploring some of the magical places in the island also made me care about the land itself and the impact the foreign invasion was having on Tsushima and its people. There's a couple of more topics I wanted to discuss, such as features I would have liked to see implemented, but I personally consider that some of these can be a little spoilery, and even though the embargo doesn't prevent me from discussing these topics, I feel they might take away some of the enjoyment of discovery for some of you, so I'll leave those for a later date, and ultimately, they don't really impact my recommendation at all. Ghost of Tsushima is a great game, and I can't wait to stream it for you when the game launches. Also, because nowadays I see these comments in every review video I make, no, I was not paid to make this review. I would never accept payment for a review, and if you genuinely believe that PlayStation or any other entity sending me a digital code or media kit is enough to sway my opinion on a video game, you should just stop watching my videos. But anyway, that's all I have to say for now. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you did not enjoy this video, hit the dislike button, since feedback is important. Feedback which you can also leave in the comment section down below. If you usually enjoy my content, subscribe and hit the bell notification icon, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, sayonara.